It was around 2:36 a.m. during my night shift at a small church. I was in the security room watching the cameras. Nothing unusual ever happens, so I usually just sit there and wait for the time to pass. One of the screens showed the main hall. At first, I thought the camera was glitching. There were shapes in the pews that didn't look right. Dark figures, all sitting still. The lights in the hall were off, so it was hard to see clearly. I leaned closer to the screen. They looked like people. I checked the time on the system, 2:37 a.m. I picked up the radio and said, "Anyone inside the main hall?" No answer. I kept watching, thinking maybe it was just shadows. But then one of the figures moved slightly, like it adjusted its posture. I sat there for a few seconds, trying to make sense of it. Then I noticed something else. The side door camera showed the hallway leading to the main hall. No one had walked in. I grabbed my keys and went to check. The main doors were still locked, exactly how I left them. I unlocked them and stepped inside. It was completely empty. No people, no sound, just the smell of the place and rows of empty pews. I walked down the aisle and checked behind a few rows just to be sure. Nothing. On my way out, I pulled the doors shut and locked them again. When I got back to the security room, I looked at the monitor right away. The figures were back. More of them this time, all sitting the same way, facing forward. I didn't move. I just stared at the screen. Then I noticed something in the middle row. One of them was sitting a little differently, slightly turned, wearing something reflective. I leaned closer without thinking. It looked like a vest, the same kind I had on. I checked my own chest for a second, then looked back at the screen. The person was still there, sitting in the pew, not moving. At that point, I didn't go back to the hall again. I stayed in the chair and kept watching. After a while, I noticed the camera angle hadn't changed, but I couldn't see myself in the security room anymore. I checked the other cameras. The hallway outside was empty. The room I was sitting in wasn't on any of the screens. I stayed there until morning without moving much. When the next guard came in, everything looked normal again. I didn't mention it, but I still think about that screen sometimes. If I was sitting in that hall, then who locked the doors behind me?